All right, this is a video on how to make speech that conquers hearts. This has been something which has been time and again requested from me, and there were so many people who had commented before this that Shovik, I want to know how to improve my communication skills, how to speak better English or Hindi, but in a way that can truly influence others. This particular thing helps in so many different cases when we go for our MBAs, and after that, particularly when we are going for our MBAs. First is, of course, in our case competitions, we have to present our cases. Second is, of course, in job interviews, we have to present ourselves in a certain manner. Third is project presentations. Even in the internal projects, the way we present is the way that our faculties will look at us. Fourth is getting the right peer group. And I feel this will be one of the most important things and the most underrated things when it comes to uh, our MBA journeys, because people concentrate on so many things when it comes to the academics, the career, the competitions, and whatnot. But when it comes to the peer group, I genuinely feel this will be the make or break when it comes to who are we sitting with on a day-to-day basis and who are we attracting towards us. And finally, there'll be this particular benefit which I've written down, which is having a voice in important discussions. Now, this has been a personal pain for myself where I have been in discussions where people don't take me seriously or haven't taken me seriously. And it is due to this that I had started my journey of improving my speech to a level where today people are eager to listen when I speak. The reason that happens is the following: there's a whole framework behind how do we improve our communication skills. And in this particular video, we'll go through it in detail. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing which I want to say is this is, of course, make speech that conquers hearts. I've put some pictures of good orators so that you can get some inspiration before we start the video. J. Sai Deepak, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and Vivek Ramaswamy from America. These are people who I have truly seen that they have been people who could conquer hearts with their speech. And how do they do that? How do we do that? This is the video for it. The first thing which I want to tell you is there are steps to it. There's a step one, step two, and step three. The last step is something that the whole world knows about, talks about, but is the least important step. I'll show you what it is. The last step over here is the tertiary or the third step. And then look at this. People keep talking about volume, gestures, modulation of the voice, tones, pronunciation. These are things that the whole world talks about, right from the base of communication to the advanced parts of communication. People speak just about this, and I feel this is not the complete picture, and it's not even close to the complete picture. So I want to share with you the complete picture of communication and how it really works. Okay, and let's get started. By the way, the last steps in each will be marked in red. So whenever you see a box that's marked in red, that is the most important sub step. All right. Let's start with the steps first. Let's understand the steps first. Step number one is subject mind mastery. So the first thing that's important when we start communicating is what are we communicating about? And that is one thing which people rarely focus on. They try to speak gibberish and then they wonder why it's not connecting with people, because people recognize when you have something valuable to say and when you're just speaking gibberish. People recognize that. So the first thing is subject mind mastery. Let's see this. The first step in this is, wow, I want to know this. You feel that one particular thing is very interesting to you and you feel the curiosity to know about it. So you are like, wow, I want to know this. Okay. The next is you start learning about it. All right. You say, Wow, this is so interesting. You start learning and you go deeper into that particular topic. It interests you to a level where you start understanding, okay, this is how this topic is, this is how things work in this particular domain of life. That's the second thing. Third, you get a grasp of the subject. The more you learn about it, you get a grasp of that particular subject. Now, these are very simple things, but it's so important that it's underrated. You get a grasp of the subject. The next thing over here is subject retention. So the first three things we have understood, that we say that wow, I want to do something. Next is you start learning and you say wow, what am I learning? It's so interesting. And the third thing is you get a grasp of the subject. Once that's done, what's important is that you retain the subject. How do you retain it? In a way that comes back to you when you start speaking. This is how I'll show it to you. There are three things inside this. One is you need to make stories in your mind, uh, in or around that particular subject, if that makes sense. You have to make examples, or you have to have examples in your mind that justify what you have learned. And finally, you need to know the whole concept in 2 lines. That's the most important part. There's a German technique for memory or retention called the Zettelkasten method, and that works on the same phenomena, that our mind becomes capable of remembering things only when it's congested or digested into very simple lines that our mind very easily understands. So, this is one of the most important parts of this whole making a good speech, which is you know the concept or the gist of what you're going to say in 1 or 2 lines. That's important. And once this is done, this is the most important part because it's marked red. It's importance time. Now, what is this importance time? Importance time is the time you give to your mind to settle into a particular topic. So you've read this very interesting, very new topic which your mind has just ingested. You've understood some stories, some examples, you've understood the gist of it in a particular 1 or 2 liner. And now you have to let your mind settle into it. It's so easy that in just 2 days you can become a subject matter expert, at least to some extent, in a particular small domain. So that takes 2 days to start with. The better you get at it, you can become a master of it, and you can let your mind settle into topics in a matter of hours. But for now, you need to have at least 1 or 2 days if you're just starting with this particular framework or method. So you give your time to settle into it. You think about it for 2 days. You try to go deeper into the stories that you've talked to yourself about regarding this topic. You go deeper into the examples. You visualize those examples. You go back to what you have read and read it again. So you do this for 2 days. Once you do that, your mind has settled into this particular topic. Okay. And the mastery of subject mind mastery is complete. That's the first step. And now we can go into the second step. Let's see the second step. The second step is how to make this subject which we have just ingested into an interesting speech. How do we do that? Now, this is the second important point. Third point is those volume, gestures, modulation, etc. Second point is how to make an interesting speech. How do we do that? It's so simple. You won't even believe it. The first thing is intellect or logic. First thing is subject matter or subject mind mastery, as we spoke about. Here, we are going to know about the subject and settle it into our minds. That's first, which is called the intellect or the logical part of our speech. The next is the emotion or the heart of the speech. Now, this is what most people who speak miss out on. So, to put it simply, I've put it into a very easy phrase which can make you understand what I'm talking about. The phrase is a bit of a fool, a bit of a sage. So, if you look at how our minds and hearts work, you will understand that a lot of times, if you are very emotional about a particular subject, you don't even need logic. It's just fine having that emotion. In other times, you'll see that if you're very logical about a subject, it doesn't agree with any of the emotions that you have for the subject. And that is also why, in many places, people say keep your emotions aside or keep your mind aside for this particular thing. Just have emotions in this. So it's important that when we make an interesting speech, we have to be a bit of a fool and a bit of a sage. We have to have a bit of emotion and a bit of logic to make it an interesting speech that can conquer hearts. All right. Even in this particular presentation, which I'm showing you, it's a presentation of a properly defined construct. But here, even here, I have involved words like "wow," "I want to know." That's connecting to the heart. I could have just written that "have curiosity." That's very dry. That's logical, but it's very dry. But "wow," "I want to know" has heart. Okay. So this is the second part, which is how to make an interesting speech. The third or the tertiary or third part is having some practice on how or what is your ideal volume when you speak. What is the ideal depth of voice when you speak? Do you speak from your throat or do you speak from your stomach? So there are two parts. If you speak from your throat, you will have a very shrill voice. If you speak from your stomach, you will have gravitas. You will have gravitas when it's needed. So you need this whole range of speaking. So you have to practice all of this. Okay. Then there is voice modulation, where you speak shrill sometimes to show something which is of light-hearted nature, and then you speak with gravitas. You speak in a more defined tone, in a very calm manner, to speak about important topics. Okay. And there's tones, this pronunciation of your English, your Hindi, or whatever language that you want to master. So, this is the third step. More important than this is having subject matter expertise and involving your heart when you speak. Okay, these two together is potent enough to influence other. The third thing is something which you just need to get better at with time. And how do you do that? It's very simple. Open up your phone, start recording, hit the record button, record videos of you speaking about some random topic, and then listen to it back and see where can you improve. Should you have more volume? Should you have better hand gestures? Should you have better pauses? Should you lessen your ums and ahs and those filler words? What is it that you need to do? So this is the third step, and the most important step in this is, as I said, record a video, repeat. Record a video, get that feedback loop, repeat. That is how you improve. Okay, so I think this is the complete construct or the formula for you to make an interesting speech which can conquer hearts. This is something which I myself follow on a day to day basis, and that is what makes my speech worth listening to, and that is what helped me even get followers for this YouTube channel, where people can connect with me at a level where they feel that, okay, this is somebody who is worth listening to. Okay, so if you want to do that as well, this is the formula for it. I hope this video helped you a bit. So the base of this is mastery of a subject, sage. The second is adding heart to it so that it connects with people, and third is getting better. So this is the whole formula explained to you in a couple of minutes. Hope this helped you. Use this formula for your MBA. Use this formula for improving your speech on a day-to-day basis. And I'll see you in the next video. Subscribe, like the video. Namaskaram. Bye-bye.